Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria and I'm here to have a very frank conversation with you about reselling platforms. All of them. Just a real honest, come to Jesus, whatever you want to call it. But we're gonna sit here and talk like friends, and I'm gonna talk about some of my experience. Last year, I had a big eBay suspension. I don't know if you guys saw the video. 375,000 people watched that video, and people are still watching it every day. And what happened to me is actually not uncommon. I have found out I get messages daily, both through email and on Instagram, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But I really just want to talk about the truth about reselling online, and that is you are at the mercy of these platforms, 100%. And with a lot of them moving more towards AI for customer service, that really impacts all of us. And if you think I'm not selling anything illegal, fraudulent, any of these things, well, I have news for you, sister, brother. You may be next. And I'm not trying to scare anybody into not reselling. I love reselling. I have actually been reselling since the late 90s and now call it my full-time job. And this is not clickbait. This is 100% true stories that I have experienced and a couple from other people. So let's talk about first my eBay suspension last summer, and then I'm gonna tell you what happened to me on Etsy that you need to be aware of. So just to recap for those of you who may not have seen my video, I was suspended on eBay. I got an email, they took down my entire store, every item, and all they told me was that I was a threat to the community. They did not explain what I had done. I had 100% feedback. I had no Veros, so no using, the word Velcro or onesie or a brand. I had not had any items taken off of eBay for copyright infringement. I never had a negative buyer experience, all since I became a full-time reseller. So I got the suspension. I had no idea what happened. I chatted with the chat on eBay. Normally on eBay, you can request a callback and eBay will call you. They didn't even give me that option. They take that away when you're suspended, by the way. And so my only option was to chat with, whoever it was, whether it's a human being or AI, not really sure still at this point. But I was at a loss, and eBay had shut down their 800 numbers, so there's not really a good number. The only number that they actually still have available to the public is a fraud number. So I was at a loss, like, oh my gosh. And they told me I would never be able to sell or buy on eBay. And again, like I said, I've been selling and buying on eBay since the late 90s. So this is not my first rodeo. And come to find out, my good friend Tanya over at Double T's Treasures, I'll link her channel below. She's an awesome girl, awesome YouTuber. She's my friend in real life. So this is not some crazy, fake person off the internet. This is my actual friend, texted me and said, hey, did you get that eBay situation figured out? Because I had posted about it on Instagram, and I said, no, I don't know what happened, but I guess I'm just banned. I mean, I have no way to get in touch with them. She's like, well, I got this number. And so I called the number, and sure enough, I got a human being on the phone. A lot of people are going to ask this. This is not me being, anything, but I actually got this question over and over again. Yes, it was somebody from America. So it's not an outsourced call department. I'm pretty sure this number is associated with accounts that have the larger stores. And I have one of the less expensive stores, so I don't have the option of this phone number. So when I called, the rep told me what had happened was eBay called me one time. I didn't answer the phone because why would eBay be calling me? And because I didn't answer the phone, they were not able to verify that I am me, and so they suspended me permanently. So she went and looked to see if she could reverse the suspension, and she said she could, and she asked me some verification questions that were pulled from my background report, and I answered them all correctly, and she reinstated my account. Now, I had all these conspiracy theories like, how'd you know you really were talking to eBay? Well, like I said, my friend, Tanya, has used this number for years, so girl had my back, and thank you again, Tanya. You know I love you. I still owe you a drink. But anyway, I got my account back. So, you know, good news, right? So also the weird conspiracy theories, you know, like, oh, I'll get into that in a second. Anyway, sidetrack, ADD over here. So, anyway, my account got reinstated, but unfortunately I had to relist all my items. And my first point in this whole video, if you don't get one thing from this, it is you should be cross-listing. And I don't normally say you should. I don't like to tell people what to do. I mean, everybody has their own experiences in life, but I'm highly, strongly recommending that you list on more than one platform. Do not put all your eggs in one basket, because I could have lost eBay that day, which is a significant part of my income, and I would have just been up the creek, right? And then with Poshmark changing their algorithm, then I'm really up the creek, you know, if I'm depending just on Poshmark. So in saying this, I do use Vendoo, and a lot of people ask me in my eBay video, what's Vendoo? Vendoo is a cross-listing software. There are others out there. I have not tried any of the others. I've just always used Vendoo and liked it, was satisfied with it. And if you want to try it, there is a link in the description. This is not trying to sell Vendoo, but you do get a percentage off your first month. If you want to use my link and my code, cool. If not, you can cross-list on platforms by yourself. Like, you don't have to use a cross-listing software, but do not put all your eggs in one basket, because it's not just eBay that suspends people. So the eBay story did not end, because I did a follow-up video, because I realized that the suspension triggered other things in my eBay account. And this is information you need to know in case something happens to you, whether it's a suspension or something else, because this seems to be a standard with these platforms. If you get flagged for something, it usually triggers something else. And it happened with Etsy too. So I'll explain that in a sec. So anyway, realize someone from my first video tells me they're trying to click on my eBay store link in the description of my YouTube video, and it won't work. So I go back, and yes, I'm reinstated, but my store doesn't exist. So then I have to get back on the phone with eBay. I talked to two different reps. One was probably a novice, you know, probably somebody new. The other one was able to help me, got my store back up, because I had paid for a subscription. But then they double charged me, so that was another headache to go through, but got all that sorted out with my store, and realized that also it had triggered a delay in my payments. So now I was being treated like a new seller on eBay, and having to wait the allotted time to get my payout after the item had been delivered to the person. I mean, could you not put me through any more? So you suspend me because you had to make sure I was me. You delist everything on my store. I have to relist it. You take away my store subscription and accidentally double charge me twice. And then I have a hold on my money. But you know what? I wasn't even fighting that. I said, you know what? If I have to wait, that's okay. My business will be just fine. And sure enough, it was eventually lifted after I made so many sales, and everything is all good. And thankfully, because of Vendoo, it only took a couple clicks for me to get my items back up on my eBay store. Okay, so eBay's done, right? But y'all, this is not an isolated case. That eBay video, like I said, has had hundreds of thousands of views. Definitely the most crazy thing I've ever experienced as a YouTuber. Until it happens to you, you don't even realize, like, the anxiety of people messaging me, commenting. It was a lot. And my friends laughed at me because I really did answer every single comment. But that's just who I am. But there was a lot of conspiracy theories. A lot of people tried to say I got suspended, or they were trying to verify my account because of political views or religious views, something I don't ever talk about on the internet. Those who are close to me know, but otherwise we don't talk about those things. My mama always taught me you don't talk about religion or politics. And maybe that's a Southern thing, but I just don't do it. I don't think it's your business. If we're close friends, we can talk about it. We can have some cool conversations, you know, and I have friends in all walks of life. So I just don't advertise. It's really my personal business. So I seriously highly doubt eBay would ban me for that. But there were so many weird, you know, hypotheses. Somebody even said it's because I was chunky. Yeah, totally interesting experience. But the thing that came out of it, and this is why I'm making this video today, hundreds upon hundreds of people have reached out to me. I did not want to post the phone number publicly. I did not think that was fair to Tanya. I did not think that was the right thing to do, because obviously if eBay wanted people to have this phone number, it would be advertised. So instead, I asked everybody who was interested in getting help to either email me or message me on Instagram. That the info was in the description of the video. Some people even reached out to me on Facebook Messenger. But I'm talking, y'all, at least 600 people that I have shared the phone number with. And a lot of them, the same thing happened to them that happened to me. They literally needed to answer some questions, verify their account information, and their suspension was lifted. Some of these people were brand new eBayers, never bought or sold a thing on the platform, registered for an account, and within a day were banned. Some people registered, listed one item, and were banned. And when I tell you there are no options, there are no options. You're chatting with what's possibly artificial intelligence. You have no phone number to call. You have no ability to ask eBay to call you back. And this is the norm. This is what is happening. People complain about Poshmark in the reseller community, but it's every platform. Every platform is like this. So now we're going to talk about what happened with Etsy. Again, I have been selling it on Etsy since the site launched, I believe in 2004, 2003, somewhere around there. And so I am not new to Etsy. I know how Etsy works. At one point, I was only selling on Etsy way back in the day. So I was surprised. I went to Vendu and cross-listed a bunch of vintage items that I had listed recently. And two of the items, I got an email from Etsy telling me that they had been removed due to counterfeit and that they would be reviewed by Etsy. So apparently what Etsy does now, and this started about mid-year last year, around the time that they purchased Depop, there was a lot of complaining about counterfeiting, about copyright infringement, about misuse of people's brands, and that was generally from the maker community. You know, people who make invitations with the likeness of Mickey Mouse, or, you know, make a t-shirt with the Louis Vuitton logo on it, things like that. That's against Etsy policy, but it's also against the law. And so there was a big push for all these counterfeit sellers on Etsy. And then also the use of websites to get these cheap items imported and then mark them up as handmade. They were really not. And so Etsy implemented a program that uses bots and looks for keywords, and it triggers that these items are pulled as counterfeit automatically. So the two items that got pulled were a vintage Christian Dior sweater, and I have recently found out Christian Dior is one of those words to be wary of on Etsy. A lot of people. Also Yves Saint Laurent. I had a Rena Lang, which is a German haute couture designer, but I have a vintage blazer, so I had cross-posted that. That got pulled. But a lot of French brands, a lot of European brands. So these two items get pulled by Etsy. And I immediately messaged them like, hey, they're not counterfeit, you know, they're vintage items. I am very good about authenticating my vintage items. Would not call myself an expert, but I have been doing this for a long time. A lot of people reach out to me for help, including today. My godmother reached out to me to authenticate a Brahmin bag she was going to purchase on Poshmark. So I feel like I have good experience in this, and it is a very plain, and I'll pop up a picture of what it looks like. It's literally a red knit Christian Dior sweater. It is from the Monsieur line, which was sold in department stores. So we're not talking about high-end runway Christian Dior. And the Rena Lang, a lot of people don't even know who Rena Lang is. So anyway, they got pulled. And maybe I had a tag for luxury or designer or something like that too. That caused the bot to pull it, but anyway, they got pulled. So I get an automated response from Etsy because there is no chat option on Etsy. And again, just like eBay, no phone number. So I get an automated response that was like, blah, 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 something about counterfeit, you can't sell these things and there's no appeal process. That sucks. I mean, because I know they're not counterfeit. But I realized the Rena Lang jacket must have been reviewed by someone at Etsy and it was reinstated. However, the Christian Dior sweater still sits in my inactive and it says removed by Etsy. And I'll show you what that looks like also. So one item was reinstated, the other one was not. However, I then realized Etsy has now, remember how I told you that sometimes when you get a suspension or some sort of flag on your account, it triggers something else? Well, now, because I had counterfeit items removed, I have a trigger on my account saying my star seller status is taken away for listing a counterfeit item or what they perceived as a counterfeit item, even though you couldn't even have a conversation with me so that I can verify that it's not counterfeit. But then also, they have a 75% hold on my funds for up to 45 days on Etsy. So when I sell an item on Etsy, which, I mean, I don't make consistent sales on Etsy, but when I do have one, it's usually a really good sale. They're gonna hold 75% of my funds for up to 45 days. That seems a little unfair. So again, I message Etsy, try to plead with them like, hey, I'm not selling counterfeit items. If you don't want me to list a Christian Dior sweater, I won't list it, but take this hold off my account and give me my star seller status back. This is ridiculous. Well, needless to say, all I got was an automated response. So I've pretty much lost hope. At least my Etsy account is still there. But I'm telling you this story because here I am. I've been reselling for a very long time. I'm not selling some one-off sneakers, high-end, like, real rare stuff, like things that could be kind of sketch. I'm literally selling stuff that I'm picking up at the thrift store and I can't even get the benefit of the doubt on these platforms that I have a long history with. But this is also happening on Depop. Depop, I've heard so many stories about the same thing happening with items being flagged as counterfeit and them actually getting suspended, losing their entire Depop account, or having their funds on hold. Some of the people who reached out to me on eBay that had their account suspended had $1,000 sitting, waiting to be deposited in their account, and eBay has a hold on it because of their suspensions. Poshmark has no phone number either. I haven't had the experience where I didn't get something fixed on Poshmark, but it sometimes can be a pain in the butt, especially like, this is our business. We're not just like casual sellers. So at least they're not using AI at Poshmark. At least they have people answering the emails. Hey, listen, I worked in a call center. I worked for victoriasecret.com. I answered emails from customers. I know what it's like. I know about having standard emails and using quick keys to pop those emails out to customers, and I know all about it, but there was still a human being answering those emails, reading them, and trying to fix the issues. So I don't know. Anyway, but let's talk about Mercari. Kat, the nurse flipper, if y'all know who she is a very legitimate, upstanding reseller, and she got kicked off of Mercari. And I'll link her video below. You can go check it out and watch her video about her Mercari suspension. She did eventually get it overturned, but she was off of Mercari for a year. So this whole video is just to let you know, it can happen to you. It doesn't matter. Don't think it won't happen to you. Don't think, oh, I'm not selling anything risky, because you never know what's going to trigger a suspension. I mean, I literally missed a phone call from eBay, which begs to differ. Why did they not just email me through their website? They send all of their communication through the eBay website, which also sends an email to my business email. In any case, my pleading to you is we are at the mercy of what these platforms decide to do to us. And if you want a sustainable business, the best thing you can do in this new year in 2023 is to cross-list on as many platforms as you can. Also, it gives the opportunity of your items to be seen by a different audience. Some people have apps and sites that they like to use personally. They're not going to jump from site to site or app to shop. So get your items out there, get them seen. And also, don't be afraid. Things in life happen, and you just have to overcome those hurdles. Sometimes they have a positive outcome, and sometimes they don't. I do know that from my eBay video, I did hear a lot of options. I know that with eBay, you can message them on Facebook. They have a eBay for Business Facebook page. However, they did not respond to me. But some people have had success with that. Some people told me they got their accounts reinstated by reaching out through the Better Business Bureau, by writing on there. One lady even said she reached out to the CEO at the time of eBay through LinkedIn, emailed his staff, emailed her back, and she was able to get her account reinstated. But this is not an isolated incident, and I can 100% tell you for certain it can happen to you, because I have responded to so many emails, hundreds upon hundreds. I think there are at least 600, 700 emails I have responded to, and all with the same story. They've just randomly been suspended and they don't know why. So protect yourself. And also share information. One of the best things I feel like I did in 2023, yes, I had an eBay video go viral, and yes, that AdSense paycheck was awesome. And thank you guys for everybody who watched that video and the follow-up. But more than anything, what really makes me feel good, and the whole reason I have this YouTube channel, is that I want to share with you what I know. I get information by watching your YouTube videos, by following you on Instagram, by seeing what you're picking up, what you're selling, and your experiences as a reseller. We can learn from each other. And I really, really just wanted to make this video to let you know that it can happen on any of these platforms. But if we band together and help each other, I now know that luxury brands on Etsy are going to trigger a hold on my items more than likely, and could also put a hold on my funds. And I have to make the educated decision as a business owner. Do I want to take that risk that if I list a Christian Dior item on Etsy, yes, I might make a sale on there, but it also might stymie my sales. With eBay, you know, I had no control over that suspension. But I was very grateful that I was able to get my account back. I took the punches. I relisted every single one of my items. I waited till that hold on my funds threshold was lifted. And I also think that it also triggered my views to go down on my eBay items. And so I just waited it out, and it's all fine now. My eBay store is now doing great again. And I'm very grateful for that. But I also know that I could wake up tomorrow and it could all be gone again. So just be aware, put things in place to protect your business, because I know this is how I put food on the table for my kiddos, and I don't want you to get caught in a situation where you are selling on one platform and you lose the ability to sell on there, even out of no fault of your own, and you're just left with nothing. So take my advice, friend, please cross-post, you know, use Vendoo or another cross-listing software, or cross-list yourself, whatever works for you. But don't put all your eggs in one basket, because this is happening on every single platform. I didn't even talk about Facebook Marketplace, but it's the same there. People get shit taken off of there all the time. Oops, I said a bad word. Anyway, so I hope you guys got something out of this video. That's the whole point of me making it, and I hope I didn't ramble too much. I'll see you guys soon for another video. Bye, y'all. One more thing that I forgot to say. If you ever need help with your eBay suspension, you're more than welcome to message me on Instagram or by email. But also, I am happy to help in any way I can if you have questions about reselling. I like helping the community. Like I said, I've got a long history of reselling, and I am happy to help in any way that I can with your reselling business. If I don't have an answer, I can direct you to somebody who might, and I'm always happy to help. So thanks for watching.